My name is Lieutenant Commander Sarah Mitchell, and I was 31 years old the morning my brother called to ask me to hide my Navy uniform at his wedding. I'd been serving for 13 years. I deployed to the Persian Gulf twice, led a team of 47 personnel, and earned 3 commendations. But to my family, I was still the daughter who'd chosen something they didn't understand. On September 16th, 2024, at my brother's wedding in Virginia Beach, something happened that I'm still processing. A retired 2-star general I'd never met stood up in front of 180 guests and said 6 words that changed everything. I think we need to talk. Welcome back to Revenge Camera Stories. This is where we share stories of people who set quiet boundaries and what happens when family finally crosses them. If today's story resonates with you, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. And if you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. The call came 3 weeks before the wedding. I was in my office at Naval Station, Norfolk, reviewing deployment schedules, when my phone buzzed. Mom's calling. Dylan wants to talk to you. Dylan is my younger brother. He's 28, works in marketing for a tech startup, and was getting married to his college girlfriend, Brittany. I hadn't spoken to him much since Christmas, but that was normal for us. We weren't close. We'd never been close. I called him back during my lunch break. "Sarah, hey," Dylan said. His voice had that careful tone people use when they're about to ask for something. "So, about the wedding. I already RSVP'd. Got my dress. I'm coming." "Yeah, about that." He paused. "Brittany and I were talking, and we think it might be better if you didn't wear your uniform." I stopped chewing my sandwich. I wasn't planning to. Good, because, it's a wedding, not a military event. We don't want it to feel that formal. I should have left it there. But something in his tone made me ask, "Dylan, did someone tell you I was wearing my uniform?" Another pause. "Mom mentioned you might." I hadn't. I'd bought a navy blue dress 2 months earlier. I'd shown my mother a photo of it in July, but I didn't correct him. "Not yet." "I'll wear the dress I bought," I said. "Perfect. Thanks, Sarah. I knew you'd understand." He hung up. I sat there for another 10 minutes, replaying the conversation in my head. Then I called my mother to understand why that phone call mattered. I have to go back to May of 2011, Richmond, Virginia. I was 18. I just graduated high school with a 3.8 GPA. Varsity track, student council. The kind of resume that got you into decent colleges. I had acceptance letters from Virginia. Tech and UVA both offered partial scholarships. My parents had saved $15,000 for my college fund. It wasn't enough to cover 4 years, but it was a start. Then I told them I'd enlisted in the Navy. My father, a regional sales manager who'd worked the same territory for 30 years, set down his coffee mug hard enough that it cracked the saucer. "You did what?" "I enlisted. I leave for basic in June, ROTC scholarship. I'll commission as an officer after 4 years. My mother started crying. Not the sad kind, the angry kind. "Sarah, we saved that money for college." "Real college." "I'm going to college. The Navy will pay for it." My father stood up. "You're throwing your life away." I wasn't. I'd researched it for 8 months. I'd talked to a recruiter, a career counselor, and 3 active duty officers. I knew exactly what I was doing. But to my parents, I was making a choice they couldn't brag about at church. Dylan, who was 15 at the time, looked up from his phone and said, "Can I have her college fund then?" My mother said yes before I left the table. I went to basic training at Great Lakes in June. I wrote letters home every week. My mother responded twice. My father didn't respond at all. Dylan sent one text, "Good luck, I guess." I commissioned as an ensign in 2015. My parents didn't come to this ceremony. Dylan had a baseball tournament. They went to that instead. I got my first deployment orders in 2016, 6 months in the Persian Gulf aboard the USS Porter. I sent a photo of myself on the flight deck at sunset. The ocean behind me. My uniform pressed. My face calm. My mother replied, "Stay safe." My father didn't reply. Dylan left it on read. When I came home, I had 2 weeks of leave. I spent one of them in Richmond. My parents hosted a barbecue. 20 people came. Nobody asked me about deployment. 3 people asked Dylan about his new internship at a marketing firm in DC. I learned something that summer. My service made my family uncomfortable. Not because it was dangerous, but because they didn't know how to explain it to their friends. Sarah's in the Navy didn't fit neatly into their social script the way Dylan's in marketing did. So I stopped trying to fit. I made lieutenant in 2019. I didn't tell them. Until Thanksgiving. And only because my mother asked why I was wearing a different uniform insignia. I got promoted. Oh, that's nice, honey. That was the entire conversation. Dylan, meanwhile, got engaged in 2022. Brittany was blonde. Polished, from a family with money. The engagement party had a photo wall, a cocktail menu, and 90 guests. I flew in from Norfolk. I wore a black dress. I brought a gift, a $200 crystal vase from their registry. Brittany hugged me at the door. "Sarah, Dylan's told me so much about you." "All good, I hope." "Of course." "He said you're in the military." "Navy, yes." "That's so unique." She smiled. The kind of smile that wasn't sure if it should be. I didn't stay long. 2 hours. I congratulated them, took one photo with Dylan, and left. On my way out, I overheard Brittany talking to her mother near the gift table. "Which one's the sister?" "The one in black. She's in the Navy or something." "Oh, well, at least she didn't wear the uniform." I kept walking. Here's what matters about the next 2 years. I made lieutenant commander at 30, youngest in my class. I led a joint training operation with Allied forces in the Mediterranean. I received a Navy and Marine Corps commendation. Medal for leadership during a logistics crisis that could have delayed an entire carrier group. I built a career I was proud of. My family mentioned it once. At Christmas 2023, my aunt asked what I did in the Navy. Before I could answer, my mother said, "She works on ships." That was it. 13 years of service reduced to 4 words. Dylan's wedding was set for September 16th, 2024. Brittany had planned it. For 18 months. Vineyard venue in Virginia Beach. 180 guests. String quartet. A flower budget that could have funded my first year of college. I was invited. Not asked to be in the wedding party. Just invited. I didn't mind. I wasn't close to Brittany. And Dylan and I had never been the sibling wedding party type. I bought a navy blue dress, knee-length, elegant, appropriate. I sent a gift in July, a $400 contribution to their honeymoon fund. Then came the phone call in August. After I hung up with Dylan, I called my mother. "Did you tell Dylan I was planning to wear my uniform to the wedding?" Silence, then, "Well, honey, Brittany's family is very traditional. They might not understand." Understand what? You know how it is. A military uniform at a wedding can be distracting. I counted to 5 before I responded. I wasn't planning to wear it. I bought a dress. "Oh, well, that's good. I just thought. You know, sometimes you like to make things about yourself." I let that sentence hang in the air between us for 3 full seconds. I've never worn my uniform to a family event. Not once. I know, sweetie. I'm just saying, it's Dylan's day. Let him have it. I hung up. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just ended the call. That night, I sat in my apartment in Norfolk and made a decision. I was going to wear my uniform. Not to be petty, not to make a scene, but because I'd spent 13 years hiding what I did from a family that never asked. And I was done. I pulled my service dress blue uniform from the closet. I checked the ribbons, aligned them precisely. Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal. Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal. National Defense Service Medal. I polished the brass buttons. I pressed the jacket until the creases were sharp enough to cut paper. Then I hung it back up and didn't tell anyone. 1 week before the wedding, Brittany called me. Sarah, hi. I just wanted to check in about a few things before the big day. Sure. So Dylan mentioned you're wearing a dress. That's right. Perfect. What color? Navy blue. A pause. Oh, that might clash with the bridesmaids. They're in dusty blue. Could you maybe wear something else? Maybe a soft pink or champagne? I looked at the dress hanging on my bedroom door. I'd spent $250 on it. It fit perfectly. I'll wear what I have. It's just the photos, you know. We want everything to be cohesive. Brittany, I'm wearing the dress I bought. Another pause. Then her voice changed. Less sweet. More sharp. Dylan said you'd be difficult about this. I didn't respond. Look, Sarah, this is my wedding. I've planned every detail for over a year. I'm just asking you to be a team player for 1 day. I'll be there. I'll be dressed appropriately. That's what you asked. Fine, she hung up. 2 days before the wedding, my mother called. Brittany's upset. I know. Sarah, why are you doing this? Doing what? Wearing a dress to a wedding. You know what I mean? You're making this harder than it has to be. Mom, I bought a dress. I'm wearing it. I don't know what else you want from me. She sighed. I just don't understand why you always have to be so stubborn. I didn't answer. After 15 seconds of silence, she hung up. The morning of September 16th. I woke up at 0600 Old Habits. I made coffee, black, no sugar. I showered, dried my hair, and stood in front of my closet. The navy blue dress hung on the left. The service dress blue uniform hung on the right. I picked up the uniform. I dressed slowly, carefully. Uniform regulations mattered. Every ribbon aligned. Every button fastened. Shoes polished. Hair in a regulation bun. I looked in the mirror and saw 13 years of work looking back at me. I drove to Virginia Beach. The venue was a vineyard estate with views of the water. White chairs lined the lawn. A string quartet played near the arbor. Guests in pastels and light suits milled around with champagne glasses. I walked in wearing my service dress blues. The reactions were immediate. Heads turned. Conversations stopped. I saw my mother near the gift table. Her face went white. I saw Brittany's mother near the arbor. She grabbed Brittany's arm and whispered something. I walked to my assigned seat. 3rd row, I'll seat. I sat down, folded my hands in my lap, and waited. My mother appeared within 90 seconds. Sarah, what are you doing? Attending a wedding. You said you'd wear a dress. I changed my mind. This is humiliating. For who? She didn't answer. She walked away toward Dylan, who was standing near the groom's suite entrance. I saw her whisper to him. I saw his face change. He started walking toward me. Before he reached me, someone sat down in the seat next to mine. I turned a man in his early 60s, wearing a crisp suit, American flag lapel pin, and a bearing that said military before he opened his mouth. Lieutenant Commander, he said, reading my insignia. Mind if I sit here? Not at all, sir. He extended his hand. Retired Major General Richard Caldwell, Army, 32 years. I shook his hand. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Mitchell, Navy, 13 years. He nodded toward my ribbons. Commendation medal. You've seen some work. Some. I'm Brittany's uncle. Well, great uncle. Her grandmother's brother. He smiled. I don't get invited too much these days. But I make exceptions for family weddings. Dylan reached us. He stopped 3 feet away. Sarah, can I talk to you? General Caldwell looked up. Is there a problem? Dylan hesitated. No, sir, just family stuff. She's in uniform, Caldwell said. That tells me she's proud of her service. Are you not proud of your sister? Dylan's face flushed. It's not that. It's just. Today is supposed to be about me and Brittany. Caldwell stood slowly. He was 6'2", even in his 60s. Son, I've been to a lot of weddings. Military and civilian. And I've never once seen someone in uniform take anything away from a bride and groom. What I have seen is family members who are embarrassed by service they don't understand. Dylan opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Caldwell turned to me. Were you asked not to wear this? I nodded. By who? My brother. My mother. The bride. Caldwell looked at Dylan. Why? It's formal. It's distracting. It's an honor, Caldwell said. And if you can't see that, you don't deserve her at this wedding. The people in the rows around us had gone silent. 12, maybe 15 guests, all watching. Brittany appeared, dress rustling, veil pinned. What's going on? Caldwell turned to her. Miss, I'm your great-uncle Richard. We met once when you were 7. I'm a retired Army general. And I'm about to tell you something your family should have told you years ago. Brittany's mouth opened. This woman, he gestured to me, has served her country for 13 years. She's earned the right to wear that uniform anywhere she damn well pleases. If you're more concerned about your photos than her service, you need to rethink your priorities. Brittany's face went red. This is my wedding, and it's her life. Caldwell didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. You asked her to hide. She's choosing not to. That's called integrity. Then he did something I didn't expect. He turned to the gathered guests and raised his voice just enough to carry. How many veterans do we have here today? Silence then, from the back. A man in his 50s stood. Marine Corps, 8 years. Another man stood. Air Force, 12 years. A woman in the 4th row. Army, 6 years. One by one, 11 people stood. 11 veterans, spread across the rows. All standing in a vineyard in Virginia Beach because a retired general asked them to. Caldwell looked at Dylan and Brittany. You wanted this day to be about you. But you forgot that the freedom to have this wedding, in this country, was built by people like your sister. People like these 11 standing right now. He turned to me. Lieutenant Commandé the front row, as my guest. I stood. I didn't look at Dylan or Brittany or my mother. I followed General Caldwell to the front row. The 11 veterans sat back down. The ceremony started 10 minutes later. I sat in the front row in my service dress blues. General Caldwell sat beside me. My mother sat 4 rows back and didn't look at me once. When Dylan and Brittany walked down the aisle as husband and wife, Caldwell leaned over and whispered, You held your composure. That's officer material. I didn't cry. Not during the ceremony. Not during the reception. Not when my mother avoided me at the cocktail hour. Or when Brittany's mother loudly complained about the uniform in all the photos. I stayed for 2 hours. I congratulated Dylan and Brittany at the receiving line. Dylan barely looked at me. Brittany said, Thanks for coming, in a voice that meant the opposite. As I was leaving, General Caldwell found me near the parking lot. Lieutenant Commandé have this. He handed me a business card. Rear Admiral Patricia Henning, U.S. Navy Ret, followed by a phone number. She's a friend. She runs a mentorship program for senior officers. I think you'd be a good fit. Sir, You've got a career ahead of you. Don't let family shame steal it." He shook my hand, saluted, and walked back inside. I sat in my car for 10 minutes before I drove home. 3 days after the wedding, my mother called. "You embarrassed us. I wore my uniform to a wedding. You made it about yourself. You ruined Brittany's day." Mom, 11 veterans stood up in that room. It stopped being about me the moment General Caldwell asked them to. "Silence. Your brother isn't speaking to you." "Okay. Sarah." "Mom, I've spent 13 years making myself smaller so you could be comfortable. I'm done." I hung up. 2 weeks later, I called Rear Admiral Henning. We met for coffee in Norfolk. She told me about the mentorship program, about pathways to command, about what the next 10 years could look like if I stayed focused. "General Caldwell told me what happened," she said. "That took guts. It felt like the only choice. That's what integrity is. I'm still serving. Still in Norfolk. Still a lieutenant commander, though I'm up for promotion review next year. I haven't spoken to Dylan since the wedding. My mother sends occasional texts. I respond when I feel like it. General Caldwell and I exchange emails every few months. He introduced me to 3 other senior officers. One of them became my mentor. Here's what I learned that day at the vineyard. You can't make people proud of you, but you can stop apologizing for who you are. And sometimes, the people who matter most aren't the ones you're related to. They're the ones who stand up when it counts. That was Sarah's story. One uniform, 11 veterans, one family that had to watch.